Okay, this is a video for Theresa's Access. I'm going to talk about field properties. We've talked about creating databases, creating tables. Right now we want to talk about setting field properties. So I'm going to double click on the student database. I'm not liking the list view, so I'll deal with this in the design view. Field properties are the information below the actual field creation area where we created the fields. This dialog box allows us to set the properties of each field. You can see that the key field is a student ID, but it is a long integer, and that means big integer value. Okay, new value is incremented because it is sequential. Last name is a text field. Yeah, we want to require that. We want to require that the last name be entered. So we go to the required field and change it to yes. There is no input mask or caption required. Default values, you don't have a default value for a name. Validation rules and stuff we'll get into a little later on with some of these other fields. First name, yes, I want that to be required. So I set that in there. And now if I was to try and create a record without a first name or a last name, I would get a dialog box pop up and say, hey, I would get a pop-up box saying, hey, this is a required field. Address, if I'm working with students, they had better have a valid address in our district, so that's going to be required. All these are text fields, so I don't want to put a mask in there or a formatting in there or default value. So we're not going to work with these guys until we get down in here. Contact phone. Phone number definitely should have a mask. Okay. There's no default value or format that we want to use. The mask. Okay. Save that. Okay. The mask is a standard way of looking at a telephone number, the area code in parentheses, and a dash between the prefix and those last four digits. I'm going to show you here. Okay, let me see. With a phone number 314-877-9128. Okay. That's how it'll look, and that's how it'll go in. So I'm going to move on. Okay. Now this toggle switch here, you can either toggle on that they want to keep the digits in the database without the mask, which is these three characters here, or you want to keep it in the database as entered. I want to put it down there as entered. Okay. You'll save some space without those three characters, but when you look at the numbers, when you put them out, you have to format them to have them output the way you had them put in. So why not just take all characters in? And then I'll finish, and that is the mask they're created for us. I want to put in caption on that field. Default values, validation rules, and text we'll get into later. Is it required? All phone numbers that I can get, I want to require. If you don't have a phone number, then you better give me someone else's phone number so I can contact you. Age. Let's see what the age. Well, the age, we know that the average American lives only to about 100. So it's not going to be a long integer. I'll change that to integer. Formatting, no decimals. We don't want any decimals on there. So we'll take the decimal places out, change it to 0. And we want it to be fixed. Okay. No caption, no default value. Required age, yes, I want to require that age. No validation text. Next field. Parental contact is just a name that they're given to go with their contact phone. Special information is a memo field. No requirements. Grade. Yes, I want the grade to be required. and I don't want it to be a long integer because we're working with K through 12 fixed decimals. I don't want any decimals on it. Okay, mask. No, but let's have a validation rule. The validation rule I want to put in here is less than 13. K through 12 is less than 13. Okay, and what am I going to say? Grade entry must be K through 12. 1 through 12. Required, yes, I need to know what grade they're in. And yes, I want that centered. And the emergency telephone number. We want to use the same mask. Okay, I'll save it. Hang on just a second. Sorry about that. Well, the formatting is going to be the same. We went through the formatting. Let's look at some of these formats here for Social Security number, zip code with the 4-digit extension that they use for the box. Okay, and extensions for in-house telephone numbers, passwords can be masked, times, dates also have their masks. But I'm using their telephone number mask, and I'm going to jump right through there because we've gone over it again. I want all of my phone numbers to be required because I need to know I have that need, and that should do it. Okay, let's go back to the view, and it's going to check all of my entries, and I'm going to enter a new record here. I see a problem right here. My ID field has decimals on it. I don't want that. The ID field should have no decimals. Inside caption. General number. Let's see. There you go. Now, let's enter some data and see how this works. The data that I'm going to enter is okay. Johnson, Lisa Johnson, 2587 Olive Street. Telephone number 314-448-9314. And you see that the mask is taking effect. You see that there are records that I had entered previously that don't have a mask, and one has a mask. And we'll see age. Let's put the age down at 15. Mr. Leo Johnson. No memo. Grade. Now, let's say she's in the 15th grade. Okay? And if you're in the 15th grade, that means you're in college. And it says grade entry must be 1 through 12. And so I need to change that if I'm going to go forward. And I'll put her in 15. I'll put her in the 10th grade. And these grades are not quite accurate. And then contact number 314 722 7300. There you have it. This has been field properties for Theresa's Access.